Okay, I'm twice as old as anybody here on the panel, and I've seen everything, pretty much. I'm going to tell you right now that Tesla is going to crush, and I mean that sincerely, crush the rest of the automotive industry, and the reason for that is because of one person, Elon Musk. If that guy disappears, then I might change my mind. But at the end of the day, I'm going to tell you simply, you've made a wise choice in buying that stock. And I am going to tell you right now, nothing, absolutely nothing or nobody is going to get in the way. So I'm a little less wishy-washy than everybody else. And the reason for that is because I'm old. I don't give a shit. I can say whatever I want. I'm telling you what, I was sworn to secrecy, but even Corey can't keep me shut on this one. This is a big deal, folks. A huge deal. Huge.
In this video, after possibly consuming a very small amount of alcohol, Sandy Munro unleashes a series of epic, completely unfiltered rants about Tesla and the automotive industry, and a panel of Tesla bulls who actually get it share their thoughts on Tesla Investor Day 2023. The full panel discussion is linked in the description. For now, a few key highlights. And yes, I do have more thoughts about Tesla Investor Day, and more importantly, the reaction among the Tesla investor community, Wall Street analysts, and the finance media. And spoiler alert, you might get offended. And FYI, my Patreon members have already heard some of these thoughts in yesterday's exclusive Patreon video. You're missing out if you're not a member. You can join with the card in the corner or the link in the pinned comment. First, some quick comments from Sam Kouros of ARK Invest, who seems to get it.
I feel like the presentation today was very detail-oriented, and the vibe, you know, obviously I'm checking Twitter during the presentation, and it seems like the overall expectation from the crowd was they wanted a big announcement, they wanted a shiny announcement of a next generation vehicle. But if you take a step back, it's like, what did people want? It seems like they wanted a photo of what the car would look like, and instead what Tesla gave was, you know, nearly 3 hours of the meat and potatoes of how they're actually going to bring that car to market at that price point at scale. So I think it was a lot of these little nuggets that really make it all come together that, you know, I feel like the reaction on Twitter wasn't necessarily grasping all of those details coming together.
Sam has hit the nail on the head. I think most investors, at least those who claim to be investors who are disappointed, were expecting Tesla to pull the sheet off a brand new vehicle design. Oh, look, it's pretty high, I can see it. Here's what happened instead. Instead of the tiny tip of the iceberg, what the fucking thing looks like, instead, they told us, hey guys, we've developed a new manufacturing system which we confidently believe will allow us to drive the costs of compelling electric vehicles down by 50%. But they didn't show a picture, I'm disappointed. If this wasn't called Investor Day, if this was called Tesla Product Day or Tesla Customer Day, I'd understand. But it was for investors. You know, the people who care about things like numbers, like, oh, hey guys, we're Tesla and we've now invented a new manufacturing process to literally halve the cost of our vehicles. But Tesla, we want to see what it looks like, Tesla! I just can't. Like, I actually just can't. Tesla has literally, in detail, described a plan. Tesla told us at the start of this presentation, these details are based on physics and calculations, numbers. It's not airy-fairy wishful thinking. They've done the numbers. They can literally halve, one more time, halve the costs to produce a compelling electric vehicle with this new manufacturing technique and the new factory design. But Tesla, you didn't show a picture of the car, I'm so disappointed. The fact that I need to explain this really hurts my brain, but I do need to explain this, so rest in peace my brain. It's already hurting. Bear with me. The hard part, as in everything under the tip of the iceberg, how to manufacture this thing, the materials, the size of the battery pack, the factory design, the supply chain, the technology, the things that are actually required to make this product at scale were detailed. That's what matters. But instead, the investors just wanted a pretty picture of a car. Oh, why don't you show us a picture, Tesla? Tesla would have been much better off doing a fucking full Nikola Badger and just throwing some computer renderings out there. Oh, look, we're going to make lots of these. Without providing any detail about the actual economics. Instead, they provided the details about how they'll actually make these things, millions of them, a whole new way of putting together a vehicle. The actual hard part they've figured out and detailed, but they didn't show a picture of the platform. The thing that matters for investors, that they can actually do it. They've got a plan, a physics-based plan with real numbers. I wanted a rendering. How dim do you need to be to not be able to join the dots? If Tesla can produce a compelling electric vehicle for literally half the price it costs them today to produce a Model 3 or Y, which is what they told us. Hello, do the math. Cut the price, the base price of a 3 or Y in half, maintain the same profit margins, and bang. We now know that Tesla will be able to produce a compelling electric vehicle for under $25,000 with comparable margins to today. But Tesla, how are you going to sell that many vehicles, Tesla? Guys, use your fucking brains. Does Tesla really need to give you a breakdown, model by model, price point by price point, how many units they can sell? That's your job.
One of the most amazing slides I saw was how they're going to get to that 50% cost reduction. They highlighted it was 3 things. It was the vehicle design for 1/3, it was the battery and the powertrain for the other third, and manufacturing. Manufacturing is typically ignored by a lot of OEMs because it doesn't make up a large percentage of the cost. If you look at the total cost to manufacture the vehicle, it's not that much of a focus for traditional OEMs. But Tesla is intent on focusing on being able to manufacture at scales that are beyond what a lot of traditional OEMs are focusing on. So I was actually pretty impressed because Sandy and I are really focused on the technical details, and I thought today's presentation was very technical. So a lot of the investors in the crowd seemed like their eyes were glazing over, and Sandy and I were pretty giddy.
But Corey, who cares about the technical details? I wanted a pretty picture. I don't care about how they're going to make them. I just want to see what it looks like, Corey. The first of Sandy Munro's epic unfiltered rants in just a moment, but first, some thoughts from one of the few Wall Street analysts who actually gets Tesla. So Meta, the fact that he was at this post-Tesla event in Austin kind of makes the point. He's engaging with the Tesla retail community. How many other Wall Street analysts do you think would have done this?
More seriously, so the one thing I love about Tesla is that that's really the name for which you have more knowledge in the retail community than in the institutional community, which is fairly impressive. It's definitely true that there is a deficit of education with institutional investors about what Tesla is. And this is not, these guys are totally fine. They are very smart people. But the real difficulty is when you are an institutional investor, and I'm not talking about everybody, of course. Some of them are my clients. Remember, the difficulty for these guys that they have like a fiduciary duty. They manage the money of someone else. And when you manage the money of someone else, you have to frame a lot what you do. So you need to be somewhat capable of putting things into a box.
I'm glad Pierre mentioned this. For those who don't know, Pierre, one of the few analysts on Wall Street who actually do get Tesla, hilariously pointing out, and in fairness, he does have a valid point, these analysts need to justify their price targets, justify things, right? They need to be able to literally put something in a box. And because Tesla didn't give them all the things to put in the boxes, here's all the different variations on this new platform, here's how many vehicles we expect each one will sell, here's the price point, average price, base price, etc. Wall Street can't justify 20 million vehicles per year, and they're not even going to try. Tesla needs to spoon feed them so that they can then justify their assumptions. I mean, I do not have a lot of respect for a typical Wall Street analyst. Their job should be, at least in my opinion, to do the thinking. They're not a reporter telling us what's already happened. They're not regurgitating what Tesla's told us they're going to do. Their job is to fill in some of the blanks, right? To join some of the dots, to identify some of the opportunity before it's obvious. Am I wrong here? So to Pierre's point, I understand why many of these Wall Street folks are like, oh, I'm disappointed. Because Tesla didn't spoon feed them the stuff they need. I think there is far too much intellect on Wall Street and far too little testicular fortitude. Bunch of pussies. Well, Tesla hasn't told us everything. I'm not going to make any assumptions myself because I'm a bitch. I don't want to be wrong. I'm petrified of being wrong, so I'm going to be wrong because I don't do anything. I think most Wall Street analysts just need to grow a fucking pair of nuts. They've got the brain, but unfortunately, they don't have the testicles. So they're not willing to take any risk whatsoever and do any thinking for themselves, let alone think outside the box. Again, I go back to the point of the price point here. Okay, here's how you figure out how many vehicles Tesla might sell on this new platform. They don't need to spoon feed you the different models and the variations. You just use your brain. You look, what's the average selling price of a new vehicle globally? Okay, great. Wow, it's about half that price. Oh, geez. Okay, how many vehicles globally, how many passenger vehicles globally sell in the price range of under $25,000 US? Oh, wait, how many millions? Wait, you mean that's about, give or take, 3/4 of the entire automotive market? Oh, so if they can produce a vehicle that about 3/4 of the people who buy vehicles could afford, and given the track record of being far more compelling and the best value by miles for what you're paying, I guess there's quite a few consumers out there who would like to buy one of these new vehicles on the new platform. And given that Tesla's already told us in their master plan they're going to make vehicles in every major category, and they don't yet have a van, they don't yet have a compact. I mean, join the fucking dots, you dipshits. It breaks my brain. I feel bad for these people, right? There's a wall. They just can't get out of the box. They just cannot break out of this thinking. Really. What part of half price does Wall Street not understand? This is some basic shit. I kid you not. If Tesla were to announce that they've developed a new electric vehicle platform in which they can produce something identical to a Model Y today for $1, Wall Street would be like, but how are you going to sell 20 million of these per year, Tesla? You haven't told us all the models and the variations. We don't understand. Just because it's $1 doesn't mean anything, does it? I don't understand.
And so Tesla, is it a car manufacturer? Well, it doesn't look like it is, okay? And is that like a smartphone manufacturer? No, definitely not. And so they don't know what Tesla is, and they don't know how to think about it. It's very easy for an institutional investor to understand that a software company is going to do something magic nobody else can do. But when you try to explain them, these guys do a car in a way that nobody else can do, and I think like what Sandy said about like the way they work together, the way they're more integrated, and then can deliver like very, very significant innovation at a very high pace thanks to that. These are not things institutional investors are used to listen to hear, and so it's taking time, yes. So the retail is ahead of institutional on this name.
Just want to clarify, I think personally retail investors are light years ahead of institutional investors on Tesla. And this is the thing that troubles me so much. The average Wall Street analyst would smoke most people on this channel in an IQ test, yet they miss what is in plain sight. They're unwilling to exercise any courage, do any thinking, any modeling for themselves at all. Just about done with my rant, and then we'll hear Sandy Munro's first of many epic rants. But one final point here. When Tesla tells you something, it is your job as an investor or an analyst not to take it on board, not to gobble it up, not to deep throat everything they say without question. Instead, it's your job to try to disprove what they have said. Then you'll know, are they full of shit? Are they talking smack? Or is this realistic? That's your job. That's everyone's job who's watching, and that is the job of a Wall Street analyst. If Tesla says we can produce 20 million vehicles per year, if Tesla says they can halve the cost of their next-gen vehicle platform, it is your job to disprove what they have said. Then you'll know if they're full of shit or they're actually telling the truth. Wall Street doesn't want to do this. Wall Street goes, well, I don't believe what they said. I'm not going to try to disprove it because my gut says not possible. Never seen anything in this box that does that before, so not possible. I don't need to think. I have a gold-plated excuse not to think because they're a car company, and if they say something it doesn't fit in my box, it's not possible, it's not true, they're just lying. That's a mistake. So too is it a mistake to just assume that everything Tesla says they can do. This is why I privately model out Tesla. This is why I have a valuation model. From day one, my valuation model has a table at the bottom in every single assumption, the base case, the bull case, every assumption. Here's the different vehicle models I believe Tesla will release. Here's the average price. Here's the base price. And here's how many units each year these vehicles will ultimately sell. Tesla tells the public they're aiming for 20 million vehicles a year in 2030. My own models show about 30 million vehicles per year worth of future demand for Tesla vehicles. I don't think they'll get there by 2030, but I do think they'll get there eventually. So I'm not deep throating what Tesla tells me, otherwise my valuation model would have 20 million vehicles, right? But I've done my own thinking and my own modeling. I've tried to disprove what Tesla says. I've looked at the average selling prices of vehicles. I've considered how compelling a Tesla is. The fact that some consumers will actually stretch up to a new price point and pay much more for a Tesla vehicle than they've ever paid for a previous vehicle because of the extra value it offers. I've thought about all this stuff in detail. I've tried to disprove everything Tesla said from every different angle. And this has massively strengthened my thesis. So please, don't make the mistake of either wholesale gobbling everything Tesla says and assuming, well, they said it, it must happen. Try and disprove it. But so too, don't have the arrogance to dismiss what Tesla says just because they haven't spoon-fed you every little piece of the puzzle along the way to help you join the dots. Doesn't mean they're wrong and doesn't mean what they've said isn't going to happen. It means you need to do more thinking and disprove or prove what they've said. In my opinion, most people on Wall Street immediately dismiss what Tesla says. They reason by analogy. No one's ever done that before. Bro, how could they possibly? Did you know the best-selling car on Earth only sells just over 1 million units per year? How could they possibly produce any vehicles that would ever sell more than that? It's never happened before. It's a big mistake.
It's like they've laid it out in very simple steps. And so it's a question of, do you believe that they can execute on this? Or do you think that they're making it up? And I think it's pretty clear that they've been executing on what they've said they'll do.
This is an excellent point from Sam Cross. Given Tesla's track record of doing what they said they were going to do, the onus is now on you. If Tesla's been saying what they're going to do and has been doing what they said they were going to do and has a track record of a decade and a half of doing what they said they were going to do, if they say they're going to do something, at this point, given they've got a track record, the onus is now on you. to disprove them, to explain why suddenly, for the first time in the company's history, they're going to fail to execute on their goals. Okay, I'm done. Time for Sandy's first rant. I think the title of this video is going to be Rant, 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 and Rant.
And I'm telling you what, they're going to make money on every one of them. Everything that we've ever seen from Tesla makes a higher gross margin than anybody else on the planet. Now that they've got volume, there's no question in my mind that they're going to kick ass and take no names.
Yeah, I think in terms of look and feel, it's to me definitely going to be like a smaller Model 3 or a smaller Model Y, because it's going to be a very high volume car. It's going to be like a 10 million units kind of car. So you can't afford an extreme look like the Cybertruck.
Well, isn't that interesting? Pierre Ferragu, one of the few analysts on Wall Street who gets it, believes that Tesla's $25,000 vehicle has an approximate 10 million unit per year sales potential. And the reason that I'm emphasizing this is because that's the exact same fucking number that's in my Tesla valuation model for the $25,000 Tesla. If you're on Patreon, you got a copy of this thing sitting on your hard drive from months ago or years ago, go fact check me. It's in there. Hasn't changed. 10 million units, $25,000. Why is it that Pierre and I have both ended up at the exact same fucking number? Is it a coincidence, or is it that we actually thought and joined the dots and looked at the average selling prices of vehicles and considered how compelling Teslas are and went, oh, okay, about 10 million a year? It's the latter. We've both independently come to a very similar conclusion. Now, you could argue that we're both wrong. Maybe so. Maybe it's 15 million. Maybe it's less. But we've done the thinking here. Tesla didn't need to tell us. The next-gen vehicle has the sales potential of around 10 million units per year. They did not need to spoon-feed this to us because we have brains, testicles, and use them both. Seriously, by the way, guys, if you're on my Patreon, go fact-check the valuation model. These are the things that matter. The outputs, the price targets, that's fucking irrelevant. I don't care what the stock is valued at because that's not what matters. What matters is the numbers behind the valuation. How many vehicles for each model, how many vehicles sold each year, average selling price, gross automotive margin. This is the stuff that matters. At this point in time, you tell a Wall Street analyst that Tesla's $25,000 vehicle platform could be 10 million units a year, they'll split their sides laughing.
No vehicle's ever sold that. What are you talking about, bro? The best-selling vehicle ever is only just over 1 million. That's not possible.
If you've got a $25,000 car, you can either buy that or an old Pontiac, which is a gas guzzler. And you know what? The kids aren't going to go for that. They don't want that shit. So here's the thing. A $25,000 Tesla is going to sell a shitload of cars. Think about it. What are the biggest selling cars in history? Volkswagen Beetle and a Model T. Guess where I'm putting my money? I want that $25,000 car that looks like a brick that I can buy for my kid. And if I've got 3 kids, holy shit, that's 75 grand. Everybody here is going to make a shitload more money. Yeah. I'm old, so I must be right. How about the thing they didn't mention? And that was the motor. And I kind of like knew that this was going to be coming down the road, but 30% more power at basically a less cost by going to a hairpin motor is huge. And they didn't say anything. But you know what? Look at that video. Look at that video. You're going to see where they're welding the tops, laser welding the tops of all those hairpins back together. I'm telling you what, I was sworn to secrecy, but even Corey can't keep me shut on this one. This is a big deal, folks. A huge deal. Huge. And they showed it on the video. Nobody on the planet that's got 24 IGBTs, or actually, they're called different things in different, so you might not recognize that word, IGBT, but you probably might have heard of MOSFETs, and MOSFETs, IGBTs are slightly different, but kind of the same. That allows you to move from the mundane to the extraordinary. And when Corey told me, hey, there's 24 IGBTs on that cell over there, I kind of turned around and I said, oh, Corey's smoking dope again. But it wasn't. It wasn't. I looked over. I could not believe my eyes. I had to count it twice because something's wrong with my eyes. I'm dyslexic and want to. Anyways, I had 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 24. I about shit my pants. and then we saw the casing is sitting there. And I said, I'll be right back. And I walked right up there, and the guy that's in charge, I don't think you should be doing that. I pretended like I couldn't hear. If you're old, you can get away with anything. I mean anything. So I went over, I had a look, I counted them up when I was nice and close and I could tell what was going on. And then I started looking at casting. And we have a sketch.
Yeah.
Corey made a sketch of the casting.
Let me summarize this.
Intoxicated Sandy is the best Sandy. What a savage, epic rant. And notice Corey saving the day there, trying to get a chance. All right, Sandy. Okay, let's let me just jump in here. That was really funny. Well done, Corey. I see what you did there. It's important to understand the context here. Sandy Munro, an automotive engineering expert, multiple decades, in fact, a lifetime of experience in this industry. Checking out some of Tesla's latest technology. I about shit my pants. Words matter.
The big deal is we already think that the Tesla powertrain portfolio is world-class leading. But the question is when can other OEMs catch up? This is another step change forward. If they're developing a new powertrain platform, then they're going to actually move even further ahead of the competition only days after Toyota says that the Model Y is a work of art. So now they're leaping further ahead in the future.
Excellent point. One I made a couple of days ago. We were just about to hear about Tesla's next-gen vehicle platform, since unveiled at Investor Day 2023. Half price, one more time, just got to say that again. Half price. And just days earlier, Toyota, who I roasted for this very fact, only just tearing down a Model Y. What have they been doing for the last, I don't even know, let's not go there. And they described the Model Y, which will soon be obsolete due to Tesla's next-gen platform they unveiled yesterday at Investor Day. They called that a work of art. Unbelievable engineering, and that's about to become obsolete. Yet there are still people today who think A, the competition is coming, and B, they're questioning whether or not Tesla will be able to sell the vehicles they're intending on selling in 2030. Who else is going to be selling the vehicles in 2030? Because it ain't going to be legacy automotive manufacturers. Stay tuned for yet another epic Sandy Munro rant in just a moment. First, a couple of big brain Tesla bulls sharing their thoughts.
In reality, today, I got worried for like other car manufacturers, to be honest. The more I see, the more I learn about Tesla, the more I feel like I don't really know how others are going to be able to adapt to that.
Hey Pierre, they're not going to be able to adapt. They're going bankrupt. I've been saying this since the channel started, and I've been saying it for years prior to that as well. They are not going to make it. Much like my comments earlier, when Tesla make a statement about something that will occur in the future, it's your job to disprove them. Same when I make a hyperbolic statement. Like the vast majority of legacy automotive manufacturers are going bankrupt before the end of the decade. Don't believe what I say, don't take it at face value. At the same time, don't dismiss it without actually thinking first. From the get, every step of the way, from day one, Tesla's doing well, they're selling vehicles, early days. Then the Model S comes out 2012, then wins every award ever.
But the competition's coming as soon as they decide to try. The luxury car companies,
because that's what people used to think Tesla was going for, they're going to beat Tesla. They're going to come out with their own great electric vehicles. Still waiting for the so-called competition. I don't expect you to believe me without doing your own thinking, but I am telling you what is going to happen. The vast majority of legacy automotive manufacturers are going to go bankrupt this decade. There will be some mergers, there'll be some acquisitions, there'll be some government bailouts. The best case scenario, a few legacy automotive manufacturers will limp into the 2030s, a shadow of their former selves, doing a fraction of the vehicles sold per year as they previously did at their peak in their glory days of the internal combustion engine era. They cannot compete. Tesla is multiple generations ahead already. They can't compete on cost, they can't compete on technology, they can't compete on price, they cannot compete, they're going out of business. Go try, prove me wrong.
Today was about the details of how they're going to drop the cost of making a car by 50%, which sounds incredible and almost unbelievable. And I think before today, most people, especially maybe some Tesla investors, give the benefit of the doubt to Elon and say, oh, they'll figure it out somehow to drop the cost 50%. But today was the actual details of here's how we're going to do it. And I think at the crux of it is this new assembly paradigm. And I think this is just the beginning. I really think we're going to have to think about this deeper because it's really a revolutionary change in the assembly process of a car.
But Dave, they didn't show a picture of the new car. Who cares if it's half price? Who cares about how they put it together? There's no picture.
Okay, I'm twice as old as anybody here on the panel, and I've seen everything, pretty much. I'm going to tell you right now that Tesla is going to crush, and I mean that sincerely, crush the rest of the automotive industry. And the reason for that is because of one person, Elon Musk. If that guy disappears, then I might change my mind. But at the end of the day, I'm going to tell you simply, you've made a wise choice in buying that stock. And I am going to tell you right now, nothing, absolutely nothing or nobody is going to get in the way. So I'm a little less wishy-washy than everybody else. And the reason for that is because I'm old. I don't give a shit. I can say whatever I want. Cheers.
Oh, was I supposed to wait until I was old to start saying what I think and not giving a f***? I guess I didn't get the memo.
We've looked at everything about everybody. Very few people have taken apart everybody's car. And I believe that Tesla's about, I'll look over here at Corey, somewhere between 6 to 8 years ahead of everybody else in self-driving. The software is better, the controller systems are better, the ADAS system, which is the module that you have inside, is better. I don't see anybody catching up anytime soon because they're stuck in the old paradigm of, well, I got to do this and you got to do that, and don't you try and get into my silo, and on and on. So again, I don't know how anybody's going to catch up to Tesla, but if they do, it'll be like only because all the plants burn down the same day.
Seems like Sandy Munro and I are on the same page. People often ask me, what's the biggest risk to Tesla? What's the biggest threat? And my usual response, in all seriousness, because I have actually thought about this, believe it or not, is if asteroids simultaneously hit every one of their gigafactories on the same fucking day. Of course, this just sounds like a deluded Tesla fanboy. Believe me, I've thought about this from every conceivable angle. It's your job to disprove what I said. How could I possibly know? How could I possibly envision the next decade? Good question. It's your job to find out whether I'm full of shit or I'm actually onto something.
Let me rephrase that. Elon Musk does on SpaceX is absolutely brilliant. Like I said, I can't say enough about him. He's the Einstein of our age. That's fact.
And now a few closing comments from by far the biggest brain in the Tesla community. Yeah, I said it. It's a fact. Over to you, Dave.
And I think at the crux of it is this new assembly paradigm. And I think this is just the beginning. I really think we're going to have to think about this deeper because it's really a revolutionary change in the assembly process of a car. And also the whole 4680, where they're already pumping out the dry electrodes and making the cans and everything. You just stick these pieces together, and you've got Tesla showing us exactly what their next-gen vehicle is going to be like, but it's in full detail now, you know? And I like how they didn't completely lay it out where you have to kind of put together the pieces, connect the dots, and you'll get it. But if you're not thinking, then you still probably won't get it, you know? You kind of have to use your brain a little bit to put everything together.
Truer words have never been spoken. Even Dave Lee is pointing out that you do actually need to use your brain, his quote, not mine, to actually understand what we saw at Investor Day 2023, something many analysts on Wall Street seem to be unwilling to do. Although I think Dave forgot to also mention, in addition to a brain, you do need a pair of nuts. A bit of courage is required to take a leap and to join some dots instead of asking somebody to join the dots for you. So to recap, it appears that there's a few Tesla bulls out there. Obviously, they're all just deluded fanboys and Elon D-riders, so they obviously just believe Tesla's going to magically sell 20 million vehicles a year in 2030 without any evidence, and for some reason they're having these hallucinations that Tesla just laid out a plan and described the fact that they've invented a new manufacturing system to halve the cost of the next-gen vehicle. They imagined all of that, so we're still very, I mean, I don't know, how the f*** would Tesla possibly sell 20 million vehicles a year in 2030? They haven't even told us what models they're going to be and how many each model will sell. It doesn't fit in my spreadsheet, therefore it's not going to happen. A subset of investors out there suffering from SBS are disappointed because they didn't see a computer rendering or a prototype of the vehicle. Instead, they only saw how Tesla's going to manufacture them at scale for half the price of today's current generation of vehicles, which is, who cares about that? That's irrelevant. I want a picture. They probably should have hired Trevor Milton to do the PR for this event. And many Wall Street analysts seem to be rather confused about how on earth a sub $25,000 incredibly compelling Tesla electric vehicle could possibly sell any more units in a single year than the world's best-selling vehicles ever done in the past, because reasoning by analogy works. So, dear Wall Street analysts, I'm just kidding, none of them watching. If they did, we wouldn't be having this conversation. It's meta, but if you think about it long enough, you'll probably figure out what I mean. But dear hypothetical Wall Street analysts who hypothetically would be smart enough to be looking at what people are saying and then trying to disprove what they're saying, but they're not, but let's just imagine they were, I do concede, I understand, it's important for you to be able to justify to your clients why you're suggesting. Why could this company possibly sell this many vehicles? How's that possible? Here's my justification. I understand your need to justify, but let me flip the script. If you fail to justify by doing your own thinking and joining the dots yourself, if you fail to do this and you dismiss what Tesla says offhand, not possible, reason by analogy, no one's done that, can't happen, eventually you'll end up justifying something else. How the f*** you missed this opportunity and why you cost your investors so much money. The onus is on you to do the fucking thinking. It is not Tesla's job to hold your fucking hand, to put the pencil in your hand and to join the dot one by one. They've told us at a very fundamental level, they've now figured out how to manufacture vehicles in such a way that the cost will be half of today's current Model 3 and Model Y generation. Please, I understand this will require a level of courage you've never needed to exercise or embody in your history as an analyst. But this is the most important event in Tesla's history. This next-gen platform is the vehicle that completely upends the automotive industry. This is the nail in the coffin to legacy auto and most EV startups. This is how Tesla sells tens of millions of electric vehicles per year. This may hurt your feelings a little bit, but it needs to be said. If you cannot join the dot between half price and 20 million vehicles sold per year, you are so incredibly out of your depth. If that's you, it is time to retire. Now, just to be clear, sometimes people get confused and think, Stephen, why are you so angry? You're so angry, Stephen. I'm not angry. No, I'm just obnoxious. Because believe it or not, occasionally, when somebody doesn't fucking get it, you need to shake some sense into them. That's what I'm trying to do here with these Wall Street dipshits. I literally mean it. If you're an analyst on Wall Street and you are unable to join the dots between a half-price compelling electric vehicle and 20 million vehicles sold per year, it is time to give up, okay? Just give up. If you're optimistic, you hold a glimmer of hope and you think, Stephen, that was very rude. Come on, man. What can I do to finally understand this company? I do have a suggestion, a starting point. I'm not just going to criticize without providing some potential solutions. And the first thing I would suggest is to fix and then use your brain. Of course, having some energy would also help. Clarity of thought, having the energy to actually do the thinking would also help. And here's a big secret, a hack. In fact, any Wall Street analyst, I'm serious by the way, if you are watching, DM me on Twitter. I will sponsor your Athletic Greens AG1 subscription. That's how much I want you to start thinking so you understand what you're looking at instead of me having to roast you relentlessly video after video. Seriously, DM me for a Wall Street analyst, prove it, I'll sponsor your Athletic Greens AG1 subscription for the first year. For everybody else, you'll have to pay yourself, but believe me, it is worth it. I've been taking Athletic Greens now daily for almost 2 years. It's a great way to fill in nutritional gaps. 75 high quality vitamins, minerals, and whole food source nutrients. It has digestive enzymes to help with digestion, keep you regular as clockwork. Adaptogens to help deal with stress and many other factors as well. Prebiotics, probiotics, covers almost every base. One scoop, once a day, brilliant health habit. Athletic Greens AG1 will have you feeling, performing, and thinking your best. And if you use the link in the pinned comment or head to athleticgreens.com/SMR, you get a 1 year free supply of vitamin D3 and K2. There's a 90-day money-back guarantee, and I mean, the results really do speak for themselves. Day after day, I get DMs, comments everywhere. In fact, let's bring up one or two now. On screen now, a recent DM, somebody who's been taking Athletic Greens AG1 for a couple of weeks. These past few weeks, I've noticed how much more I love working all day, every day since the first couple of days of trying it. It ain't no placebo effect. Also, a positive mood towards myself and others. One of the many benefits of filling in nutritional gaps, optimizing your health and your overall well-being. A lot of people in the comments asking, hey guys, what does this stuff taste like? 95% of people love the taste. There's probably about 5% of people say it tastes like swamp water, ... but I'm still taking it because I feel so much better. Here's a quote from somebody who finds the taste quite nice. Signed up for AG1 last week and just started. Great stuff. I have to hand it to the food science team at AG1 as they managed to craft a fruit flavor that makes the green taste palatable. Exactly. Like I said, 95+% of people love this taste. I'm not going to lie, there's 5% of people aren't big fans, but they're still taking it anyway because the results really do speak for themselves. So if you want to feel and perform your best, no excuses. Use the link in the pinned comment or head to athleticgreens.com/SMR and start your daily health habit now. And again, I'm serious to the Wall Street analysts. If any of you are watching, I will sponsor your first 1 year of AG1. DM me on Twitter, prove your credentials so I know you're not some troll, and I will literally get this stuff shipped to you every single month for an entire year just to help you think a little bit better. So maybe you might stand a chance of understanding Tesla and being able to join the fucking dots between half price and 20 million vehicles per year. P.S. You do know I've got a Patreon, right? Over 300 exclusive videos and counting fast. So if you think you can handle it, or you just like a peek at my Tesla valuation model, which continues to predict the future, head over to Patreon using the card in the corner or the link at the pinned comment, and I'll see you over there. Love ya.
Because I'm old. I don't give a shit. I can say whatever I want.